Boom.
Biddly, but yes, yo. Here we go. Ain't nobody down round here. This intro's too cringy, bro. So you know what time it is. Manoeuvring a little bit before we introduce. Get that badger. In and on and over here. We had to move back to get his greatness in. The Clout Chaser's back in full force. Thank you to everybody that tuned in to the live last night of the Underlap. It was a cracker jacker. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So go check it out if you are terribly bored. Quick shit vid. You know why we're here. Quite a bit to talk about, just briefly. Well, there's only 3 real topics that I want to discuss, but I just thought it'd be worth dropping in for a little bit of a chinwag, see what your thoughts are on stuff. The Leeds friendlies in Germany are set to be held behind closed doors. So this came out a few hours ago that the Leeds United friendlies will be held behind closed doors. If anybody remembers last year, exactly the same thing happened. It is allegedly said to be because of the German authorities and they aren't letting fans in. Well, last year was the same. The club have come out and apologised, but I'm interested to see what your thoughts are in general of it. So we do obviously have the AC Milan game, we've got the Villarreal game, and we've got obviously the Man United game. They're allowing us them. Obviously, they're in different places in Sweden and in Ireland. We went to Germany last year and the games were not, again, was behind closed doors. So do you think it's a Farke thing? You know, what do you reckon? Do you think it's a Farke thing? Do you think he's aware that the authorities will step in, Parag style? And I personally don't really mind it. I think it's an opportunity potentially for Farke to get some new boys in and on and over here, see what's cracking, what's popping, maybe try a few things, you know, without sort of like, it then doesn't become the pre-season, does it? It's not, there's not as many eyelids on it, you know. It's not like having to go over and really put some performances together. Obviously, still want to be playing well and stuff, but it might be wanting to look not even necessarily at formations, just at like, you know, players, fringe players or players in different positions. You might just want to have a little gander, a little look. So I don't mind the idea of it being behind closed doors, especially on the basis that, you know, AC Milan's a brilliant fixture. Obviously, Man United's a brilliant fixture, and Villarreal in their own right, so, you know, pretty mint fixture. So we will be able to watch that, and people will be able to travel to Sweden if they fancy it. People will be able to travel to Dublin if they fancy it. So on that basis, I don't mind it. But what are your thoughts? Do you think, because there's quite a lot of outrage going around Twitter, but I think that's one of the main reasons why Farke Fucker would be quite up for it being behind closed doors, on the basis that there's outrage about absolutely everything always. So, you know, if he's damned if he does and he's damned if he don't. And really, you know, your first few games, do you really want, if you get beat 2-1 or you win 2-1 and we you know, and he's tried something and there's, you know, 5 centre-backs on pitch for some unknown reason, and, you know, he's just having a look at stuff. I don't know. It's an extension from training, isn't it? As opposed to, you know, they are games where, you know, both teams are getting plenty from them, but it's an extension from training. It's a more competitive version of training, depending on where you train at. You know, if you train with Joe Wainman, it can get pretty competitive, let me tell you. Douglas Luiz is coming back up. So this came up a few weeks ago as a potential. I cannot imagine this for any moment happening, to be honest. But a lot's been made of him not coming off the bench last night when Man City battered him. Everyone's saying that Man City are back, and I'm not so sure about that. You know, I think Juve are obviously a decent side. They beat them 5-2, but there's a long way to go for Man City to get back to full strength. I mean, it's probably the best they've played. I think Guardiola said it's the best they've played for a long time. They were definitely, you know, proper solid. They're 500 more passes than them, loads, I think 70% possession and stuff. So they're definitely on the way back. But, you know, people talking about us, the step up, as though Man City is sort of like the step up. They're not the step up. The reality is they're playing in a totally different they're playing in a totally different league next season to us. Like, they're playing a totally different game. Really, I want Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, and whoever's fighting for fourth to not lose a single game next year. I don't particularly want a competitive season throughout the league, you know, particularly up top this year. I don't want any surprises, I don't want any Notts Forests in there doing well in fourth and then pushing Newcastle and pushing Fulham. And really, you want the top 6 teams, so your top 4 to run away with it, your top 6 teams to be decent. And then, you know, from 7th to 17th, you want us all in this bracket, don't you? But jokes aside, sort of 8 to 10th, 8 to 12th, they can be decent. And then from 12th, 13th to 17th, 18th, we need to be in that bulk, don't we? So, and you want it to be a bulk where you can drag a few down. What's the phrase? When the crabs are trying to get out the bucket, all the rest of them pull them down. But apparently we have made contact with his representatives. It'd be a pretty big scoop, to be fair. I can't imagine it, but it would be exciting. I'm not overly sure it can happen. Apparently Man United are in for him. There'll be loads of teams in for him, won't they? Apparently 30 million for him. He'd probably have to take a bit of a wage cut because it's not really happened for him over at Juve. Obviously, we're previously at Villa, which he was quite a big staple in their side, wasn't he? Does he bring the chick with him? Jokes. We never know, do we? And then all aboard the bullshit bus. Is this the number 10 that we have been looking for? So the £12 million bid apparently is being prepared for the French Algerian Himad Abdallah. He plays for the monster club in France called Club Angers. Now, I'm calling them Angers because at first I thought it was Rangers spelt wrong in the article. I thought this article's terrible and they've spelt the club wrong. But he's 25-year-old. He's the skipper of Angers. And again, if I had to think about it, I want to say like Angers. And I'm going to go with Angers because it's not Angers and it's not obviously not Rangers. So I'm going to go Angers in the hope that it is more something like Angers. But I kind of like the idea that we're playing with Parag, aren't we, with the 49ers, and he's gone to Rangers, and now we're signing people from Angers. So I'm going to call it Angers on the basis that I think that's funny. Whether they're called Angers or not, we do not care. He's an attacking midfielder. He can also play out wide. He's their captain. Not pulling the ground up with statistics. I think he's got about 5 goals or something in 30 appearances, or that is a bit of a guess, but it's just off the top of my head. I think that's what I saw. I didn't write it down. They finished 12th, 13th in the league, so they're not by no means, they're not a force in League One. But yeah, the Monster Rangers. So this could be potentially the 10 that we're looking for. I think we're going to need a couple in there. I said on my live last night that 10's an extremely important position. I had to pick 3, and I went left back, 10, and a winger as my 3 most important positions right now. And then I got pelters for it, saying that I never mentioned the keeper, never mentioned the number 9. The guidelines that I had, I could only pick 3 positions, and right now we ultimately have 3 goalkeepers at the club. That will change, and then my mind will change on whether we need a keeper or not. I definitely think we need a keeper, but I just think we'll sort it out. I think 49ers are on with sorting that. That's yet to come. But the left back, the number 10, and an extra winger, even though people saying we are quite strong out wide with Ramazani, Nonto, and Dan James, people saying that Schmidt can do a job. Maybe Schmidt will be late. Maybe Schmidt goes in at left back. I'm not overly keen on that either. I thought Schmidt had a good end to the season last year, but I don't want to be reliant on Schmidt. That is for sure. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the games behind the closed doors? Thoughts on Douglas Luiz, and then thoughts on this bloke that nobody knows called Himad Abdallah. Take it easy, everybody. Keep subscribing. Keep liking. I appreciate every which one of you, but I truly mean it. Take it easy. Peace.
Boom.